All right, let's dive into Django. It's this incredibly powerful tool that works behind the scenes of some of the biggest web and mobile apps out there. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and see what really makes these huge, complex applications tick.
I mean, really think about it for a second. These things aren't just simple websites, are they? They're massive platforms, juggling millions of users, unbelievable amounts of data, and just constant nonstop interactions. So what's the secret? How is all of that chaos managed?
And there it is, the answer. So many of the services people use every single day rely on the power and structure of Python and specifically the Django framework for their backend. That right there is some serious real-world proof of just how capable this thing is.
Okay, so we know it's a big deal, but what exactly is Django? Let's actually break down what this tool does for a developer and why it's so important.
So at its heart, Django is what we call a web framework. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine trying to build a house completely from scratch, brick by brick, with no power tools. Now, imagine having a toolkit that comes with pre-built walls and window frames. That's a framework. It gives developers a massive head start, so they aren't reinventing the wheel every single time. And this slide gets to the core of Django's whole philosophy, batteries included. It means it comes with all the essential stuff right out of the box. We're talking a ready-made admin panel to manage data, a tool called an ORM to talk to databases without writing complex queries, a super secure system for user logins, and even caching for better performance. It's just a huge, huge time saver.
And, well, why does this matter? Look, beyond being a really cool piece of technology, learning Django is a serious career move. The demand for developers who can build these robust backends is sky high, and that's absolutely reflected in the average salary. It's an incredibly valuable skill to have.
Of course, Django isn't perfect, and not everyone is a fan. So let's tackle one of the most common criticisms with a really great analogy.
This is the argument one hears all the time. Some developers will say Django is old news, that it's too big, it carries around a bunch of features nobody needs, and that all the new, shiny frameworks are way faster. But is speed the only thing that actually matters?
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It brilliantly illustrates the whole point. A Ferrari is amazing for going fast, sure, but try moving a couch with it. A smart engineer picks the right tool for the job. Django is that reliable truck, built for heavy lifting, not just for racing down a track.
Let's really break that comparison down. The Ferrari frameworks, they're all about pure speed with a really minimalist approach. But Django, our truck, it prioritizes utility and having all those necessary tools built right in. It's mature, it's stable, which means fewer nasty surprises down the road. And because it's been around for a while, it has a massive community. That means tons of support, and pre-built packages are ready to go for almost any challenge imaginable.
All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. To really get where Django fits in, it's crucial to understand the two fundamental sides of pretty much any web application. So on one side, we have the front end. That's the client side. This is everything that happens inside a web browser. It's what a person sees, what they click on, the whole visual experience. Then on the other side, there's the back end, the server side. This is the engine room. It runs on a powerful server somewhere, handling data, processing requests, and containing all the core business logic. Django lives entirely on the back end.
So, how do these two sides talk to each other? Well, they use something called an API. And the best analogy, honestly, is a TV remote. A person using a remote doesn't need to know anything about the TV's internal circuits, right? They just press the volume up button. The API provides those simple buttons for the front end to tell the back end what to do, like, hey, get me a list of products, or save this comment.
Okay, so the theory is great and all, but what does it actually look like to get started with a Django project? It might seem intimidating, but really, it boils down to just a few key steps.
Getting a project off the ground is surprisingly simple. After installing Django, there's a single command that builds out an entire project structure for us. Then it's just one more command to fire up a local web server, and that's it. With just those steps, a basic Django project is up and running on a local machine.
Now for the last big idea. Once that server is running, how does Django know what to do when someone tries to visit a specific page? This is where views and URLs come into play.
Now, a view in Django is a little misleading. It's not what is seen on the screen. It's actually a Python function. Think of it more like a request handler. Its job is pretty simple. It receives a request from a browser, it does some work, like grabbing data from a database, and then it sends a response back. And this table shows perfectly how it all connects. A developer basically creates a map.
This map tells Django, hey, when a request comes in for the address playground/hello, I want to run the Python function called sayHello. It's a really clean, super organized way to route all the incoming traffic to the right piece of code.
So, to wrap this all up, Django is that super robust, batteries-included toolkit for building powerful backends. It's the reliable truck, not the flashy Ferrari, and it's chosen for its stability and its utility. Getting a project running is way simpler than one might think, and its core logic just revolves around mapping URLs to specific view functions that do all the work.
So now that these foundational concepts are a little clearer, the question really shifts from how to start to what to create. The framework is there, the tools are all ready to go, the potential for building some seriously powerful applications is just immense.